So with regard to this particular problem, let's see. So they give you this generic, wow, what am I doing over there with my hand? So evidently there's not a hand rest going on here. And I don't know how to erase. So that's interesting. How do you erase? Is it that? No, that's the highlighter. And that's the pen. And I thought that was the eraser. And it is the eraser. Let's go with the undo button. All right. So we're not going to edit that. Let's do this pen thing. And so this guy right here is your generic equation or function. And they inform you with these, 7 data points that you have a 0.1 comma, 2000 comma 1.0. But in fact, with this information here, t equals 0 corresponds to the year 2000. This is actually incorrect. You need to be using 0 comma 1. And for instance, then 0.2 is 2 comma 0.93, etc. So you're supposed to use this data, this information, to determine what the equation is for the function is that governs this data. So there are a couple things that we know that we do not, quote, know, and that would be y sub 0 and the base for this function. So let's first use this first data point with an x value of 0, or technically a t value for 0, to determine the first thing. So when they tell you with this point that when t equals 0, year 2000, f of t is equal to 1. So f of t is equal to 1 when t is equal to 0. So I'm just basically going to substitute those values in. And so t is equal to 0. But as we know, when any base is raised to the exponent of 0, we get a power that's equal to 1. So this equation can be simplified to be 1 equals y sub 0 times the number 1. y0 times 1 is y0. And so this should tell us that y sub 0 is equal to 1. And that's going to be for all situations. Yeah, it was 0.93 right here. So and so that's a second point. We can take the second point and substitute it in. So f of t is 0.93 when b is equal to 2. Now, to determine what the base is for this function, how would we take this equation and solve for b? Hopefully you're saying we take the square root of both sides, and we get 0.93 equals the base, because we took the square root of both sides. Let's use a different color and kind of point that out up here. Okay? And so we get b is equal to that. So now the equation that governs this data is actually f of t is equal to, the base is the square root of 0.93, all of that raised to the t. So the second part of the problem asks, oh, I don't have the second part of the problem here. Oh, poopy face. Come on, computer. All right. So the program's going to want you to take the square root of 0.93 and actually calculate that and get a single decimal value, and ask you to round it to 3 decimal places. According to the computer, the answer was this, though I don't think I got that when I put it in the calculator. So your final answer for this part of the problem is 0.966 raised to the t. So that should go in the first box. The second problem then, or the second part of the problem, part B, is asking what is the purchasing power in 2015 will be. So in 2015, they're asking what the purchasing power, which is f of t. So basically what they're asking for, what is the value of the function when t is equal to 15? And so all you do is substitute 15 into that equation for t and put that in your calculator. You should be able to find a power function x to the n on your calculator. And then the third part then is asking the same sort of question, but for the year 2018. So they're really asking for f of 18. So f when t is equal to 18 is equal to 0.966 raised to the exponent 18. So that would go in your calculator as well. I don't have one of those calculators with me, or else I'd talk you through it. So that would be how to do that sort of problem.